Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Avanthika Chaithanya. I recently accepted a pre-match position at Mount Sinai Elmhurst in pediatrics. Super excited to start my journey as a pediatric resident. It's always been my dream to be a pediatrician. This is my last video for the Mature Resident Residency Prep Blog series where I talk about my interviews experience, about how I prep for my interviews, and about interview scheduling, interview backgrounds, what do you wear for the interviews, and just give you like a general overview of how my season was. I did have a very short season, as because I got my pre-match offer in the on the second week of November. So I only had interviewed at one other place before, but I had like a lot of interviews that were pending that I had to cancel once I accepted the pre-match offer. I think as of like the second week of November, I had like 16 interviews in total. So out of which like 14 of which I had to cancel because they were scheduled after. But I'm really glad that I got the chance to interview at Mount Sinai very early on because it was one of my top programs and it was a program that I always wanted to match into. So I interviewed very early on. I was very excited and happy when I got the offer. So yeah, I declined all my other interviews. So I had a very short bad season, but I can tell you a little bit more about how I prepped for the interviews and about the background and everything else. So first comes first, like how do you set up for the virtual interview? So your background, a lot of people say that, try to have a background that's not like too distracting or it has to be like white or plain. But I think personally, I felt that, if your background is not messy and, it's not like too distracting from like where you're sitting, I think that's completely okay. You don't really have to change your entire background. Just make sure that you are sitting in a calm and comfortable environment because interview days are very long. They're usually like 5 to 6 hours on a minimum. So make sure that you're sitting comfortably. Make sure that you have a stable internet connection. That's very important. I had two internet connections and a backup Wi-Fi router. So I wanted to make sure that there was no tech issue on my interview day. Make sure that your laptop, your video, everything's working fine. Charge your laptop. I use my AirPods just to reduce the background noise. So make sure that every device that you're using is charged. Make sure that you put your laptop on DND if there's any notifications that come up. Make sure that you have your phone on DND so that you don't really get distracted. So yeah, keep all that in mind. I would always have like a sipper with my water, with some lemon water next to me so that anytime I would feel a little thirsty, it was right there. You do get breaks in the interviews. You do get 5 or 10 minute breaks in between where you can, run to the loo or freshen up, or, you do have breaks in between, like one interview to another interview of the same program. You have breaks in between two sessions on your interview day. So you will have breaks, but I would recommend keeping like coffee or water or everything nearby so it's easier for you to, relax and take your break. So, how do you schedule your interviews? Well, interview scheduling is usually through ERAS, Thalamus, or Interview Broker, depends on the program. Um, I think all three platforms are very easy to use and schedule. They had really good waitlist features as well if you want to waitlist for certain dates. But I would recommend scheduling for the interviews as soon as you get the email to make sure the email notifications of your laptop and your phone are turned on. So that as soon as you get the email, you want to, schedule it ASAP to make sure that you get the most convenient day for you as possible. But what I have seen works is like if, for example, if there are like certain dates available, but you're not free on those dates, or if they're clashing, or some of the dates are waitlist only, you can always email the program coordinator and tell them that, I really want to interview with the program, but this date is not working for me and it's the only thing that's available. Is there any other available date that you can switch me for? And usually program coordinators reply very quickly. They're very sweet, and they'll help you. They're very flexible with dates. So this is something that I've seen happening that, if you get a certain date and you want to switch it up, you can just email the program coordinator and you might get a chance to interview on a different date. So always do that. Um, what else? Yeah, definitely. Once you get the interview, schedule it ASAP, add it to your ERAS calendar, and make sure that if you're in a different country, make sure that you're aware of the time zones. I think that's very important because there are so many time zones. There's EST, there's CTT, there's PST, there's Mountain Time. So make sure that you know what time zone the program is located in, to make sure that you're not late or too early. You also get the info of the interview, like the Zoom link or the WebEx link or the Meet link, as well as the interview brochure, as well as the program brochure, sorry, and a sample contract. And you might also get the details of who's interviewing you. It depends on the program. You get a lot of these details, like I think 4 or 5 days before the interview prior, so you have all that information ready. So add it to your Google Calendar or your phone calendar to make sure that everything is set so that you don't have to scramble for the links last minute. As for scheduling interviews, I would recommend to schedule with days of breaks in between, because interview days are usually very long. Like, I think usually they're like 5 to 6 hours. So make sure that you don't schedule interviews back to back, because sometimes that can, lead to burnout, because it's really hard, like interviewing 2 days at the same time, like as in for 5 to 6 hours. So I made sure that there was at least a day gap between all the interviews are scheduled. I never ended up attending them, but definitely make sure that um, you have it all aligned, and you have like enough gap. As for pre-matches, I think a lot of questions that I've gotten regarding pre-match programs, I would recommend looking up about the programs beforehand, before your interview day. And once you do get the offer for pre-match, if you do get it, you do normally have like 5 to 7 days to decide. It depends from program to program. As for when the pre-match offers are given out, it really depends again from program to program. Some send it out after a week, some send it out after 2 weeks, some send it out even after a month. So it really depends from each program. So you never know when they're going to send out their offers. But if you do get the offer, you will have time to decide. So don't worry too much about it until you get the offer. But make sure you do your best on the interview day. And that's pretty much it. That's all you have to worry about. Um, as for prepping for interviews in general, I would recommend prepping with anyone you like. I prep with my parents, I prep with my friends, I prep with my co-applicants. So it's honestly, I think it's all about you practicing, your speech, and making sure that whoever is sitting in front of you can understand you clearly. A lot of people used to tell me that I talk very fast, so I made sure that I slowed down and I wasn't using my hands so much like I am right now. So yeah, a lot of certain nuances. Make sure your lighting is very good. That's also important. A lot of people use ring lights. I didn't really use ring lights. I just had like two bright lights like right behind my camera, so that helped. If you have glasses and ring lights, sometimes you get the reflection on your glasses. So I think a trick that I've seen online that helps is like covering the light with like a thin piece of cloth, so it kind of diffuses it and it doesn't give you that ring like shadow on your glasses. But definitely make sure that you have good lighting as well. That's very important. And make sure you're comfortable on the interview day, because like I said, it's a long day usually. Prep for, commonly asked questions. You get a lot of these commonly asked questions online. Like you just Google like commonly asked residency interview questions, or you can also Google like behavioral questions asked during residency interviews, and you get like this standard laundry list of questions that people have asked before. So it's very generic, but most programs, they really want to know if you're a good fit. So your interviews will be conversational. They want to know more about you. They want to know more about your experiences. So I would recommend not really like memorizing your answers or sounding too rehearsed, because that kind of kills the vibe, I would say. So my interviews were very conversational. It was very specific and relevant to my CV and my personal statement. But um, behavioral questions are normally asked in every interview. It's like, what would you do if you were in this situation? And like I said, there's a huge list of questions out there. If you just like look it up online, like sample questions, you will have an idea, a brief idea of how behavioral questions are. So you can definitely think of certain scenarios that can help you be better prepared for the interview day. I also used Macho Residence interview prep, which consisted of AI feedback, which was super helpful, and it was very interactive and very nice. Also made me super confident while talking in front of the camera. I think that's also important, being confident in front of the camera. As for what to wear, I think everyone wears formals like a shirt and a blazer. Don't forget your pants, it's really important. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think a lot of interview days, are very casual and very fun when it comes to like actually interacting. I honestly enjoy it my interviews. It was so nice meeting everyone else, meeting the program committee, meeting the residents, and also meeting my co-applicants. Since it was a long day, we had so much time to interact with each other as well. So it was really fun. Honestly, it's a nice way. You just feel like you're in this virtual meeting where you're trying to get to know everyone, and you are also interviewing in between, and it's so comfortable and so relaxed. I think that's the experience that I had with the interviews that I had given. So, and this is something that I've heard from my other friends who are interviewing as well. So make sure to relax, don't get too nervous. Again, it's just a conversation. They just want to get to know you, and you just have to make sure that you give it your best shot, but don't be too nervous. Just be yourself. I know it's a very cliche thing that a lot of people say that, just be yourself for your interviews, but it's very, very true. And it's very important because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're the right fit for the program. And the program also wants to know that you're the right fit for them. So you just be yourself, talk about, your experiences, and just relax. Trust me, it's not as scary as it sounds. That's like the best advice I can give out. I think that's pretty much it about how interviews are scheduled, about how the interview day goes about. Different programs have different structures to the interview day. Some programs have like three interviewers interviewing you. Some programs have only one interviewer interviewing you and one chief resident. So it really depends from programs to programs. You will also have like an orientation to the program on the day off. You might be even able to attend the grand rounds if a program allows it. So it really helps you get a feel of how the program operates. You'll also be able to talk to the residents. There'll be a resident meet and greet. It'll either be on the previous day or on the day of the program, where you can ask questions to the residents about how they feel about the program, so you can learn about it from a resident perspective. All of these are super important when it comes to ranking programs, or if you need to decide on a pre-match. So make sure that on the day off, you've researched about the program beforehand. You know what questions you want to ask. And if you have any questions, write them down and keep them ready so that on the day off you can ask them either to the residents or the program director. I think two of the most commonly asked questions tell me about yourself and why this program, or why the city, what interested you in this program. So, those are two of the most commonly asked questions in most interviews. So, obviously, for tell me about yourself, I would recommend just, giving them a brief intro about yourself, what makes you different, what different experiences have you had, what is your background, where are you from, where have you done your medical school, your experiences and so on. Just give them a brief snapshot about you and about your CV, and just highlight like important achievements or something that has actually made you reach where you are. But just give them a brief introduction about you, and probably highlight things that you would want to talk about during that interview. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And for why this program or why this city, if you have any like a family living there, or if you have like if you've rotated in the program before, you'll definitely have like a better idea of the program, so you can talk about that. If you researched well about the program, and if there's like a certain aspect of the program that appeals to you, whether it's for your fellowship plans, or if it has like a really good research attached to it and you want to work there. So whatever appeals to you, you can talk about it. So that's why researching about a program beforehand is very important. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. That's like all the advice that I had to offer. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't get to interview to a lot of programs because once I accepted my pre-match offer, I withdrew from the NRMP. And I also emailed the programs I scheduled my interviews with and told them that I wouldn't be able to interview since I accepted a pre-match. And I think this is again very important. Once you do get the pre-batch offer, you need to decline all your other interviews. And I would recommend emailing the program coordinator personally as well to make sure that they are aware that you've accepted the pre-match and you're declining the interview at that program so that they can offer the interview to another applicant. So make sure that, you email as well, because sometimes they might not notice that you've declined the invite, and you want to make sure that your invite is offered to another applicant who's deserving for the spot as well. So I would recommend to do this if you have accepted a pre-match. Email the program coordinators of the other programs you are planning to interview with, or you have already interviewed with, and tell them that I've accepted a pre-match and I have to decline the interview. So please, I'm emailing, and I would love it, so that this is offered to a different candidate. So yeah, make sure that you help out your fellow IMGs this way. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or any doubts that you have about the interview process or about the match process in general, do let me know. I'll be happy to help. My Instagram would be linked below. And I think this is the last video of my residency prep vlog series. So bye everyone. See you in the next Matcha Resident video. And if you're interviewing this year, stay calm. You got this. Trust me, it's not as scary as it sounds. Interviews are fun. Make sure that you're confident, well prepped, and you're gonna kill it. Best of luck for the match, and see you on the other side. Bye.